What's up, guys? Casual King MMA here, and today we're going to be taking a look at why UFC betting is so hard. For some context, betting is one of the biggest aspects of any sport. It rakes in billions of dollars a year for the gambling companies, and it brings new eyes to the sport. Both of them love it. There's a reason why sports love promoting gambling. You get predictions before shows because they feed into each other perfectly. It's also good for the consumer because it can make watching sports more fun. Sometimes you don't care about who's playing, and by putting a few dollars down on the game, you can enjoy it more. Obviously, the house always wins. Gambling is not a long-term strategy to make money. I don't care who you are, but it can be a lot of fun. Treat it like that. And it's great for the sport, specifically for the UFC. It helped the UFC grow a lot, especially because of Fight Island. For some more context on this, during COVID, all the sports in the world shut down. There were no sports on, except for the UFC. They were the first sport back. They made major precautions to do it, including buying Yas Island to have fights on where fighters could be screened and kind of separated for COVID restrictions. Don't want to get into all that mess, but what was great was the UFC was the first sport back on, so it brought a lot of new eyes. Specifically, it brought a lot of gambling eyes. These guys didn't have any sport to gamble on, and because the UFC was all that was on, that's what they bet on. And a lot of those people turned into fans for life. I personally am friends with a few of them who started betting on the UFC because it was all that was out there, and it eventually morphed into them becoming lifelong fans. It's fun to do, it's good for the company, and I'm very glad it's bringing the UFC success. Rising tide raises all ships, and more money going to the UFC is only going to create a better product for the fan. But why is my video about UFC gambling being so difficult? Well, legally it's not difficult, maybe sometimes in the US. Some states can be a little funky, but it's hard to get things right. For example, Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes squared off in the octagon. Looks like they're going to be fighting for the 135-pound crown. How do you pick this fight? Kayla Harrison's wrestling, Nunes' jiu-jitsu and power? No. Both these girls are cutting 20 to 30 pounds. Whoever has the worst weight cut, bet on the other person. Sometimes it's that simple. People don't appreciate how much weight cutting can affect a fighter. How many people have cut 20% of their body weight and then gained that weight back and fought the next day? Only fighters and maybe wrestlers. It is a brutal thing to do, and people do not put enough weight on it. If you're going to bet on UFC fights, wait until after the weigh-in. Make sure the guy you bet on had a good weigh-in, weighed in nice and early, and even better, bet against someone who had a horrible weight cut. A little context, if someone does miss weight though, usually they win the fight. They don't have to cut as much weight. They have a weight advantage. So that's another thing. It's good to bet on fighters who miss weight by a large margin if their opponent still takes the fight. But there's other issues, such as injury. This is a very famous example. This fighter was a student under James Krause, who allegedly leaked that his fighter was injured before the fight to his friends and gambling buddies. They bet hundreds of thousands of dollars on the fight, switching his fighter from a minus 200 favorite to a massive underdog. Shocking, he got finished in the very first round. And besides the fact that we don't have that inside information that made these guys a lot of money, it brings up a very fair point. These guys aren't going in healthy. They need to fight to make money. It is their job, and they will fight injured because they need a paycheck. You don't know if these guys will be injured, so there's some certain things to look at. Knee sleeves, ankle wraps are very good, but sometimes you don't see that to the walk-in. There's another reason to wait as long as you can to make these bets. Finally, even if you get it right, sometimes you don't. Dominic Reyes won the first 3 rounds, clearly won the fight 48-47, and if you made that amazing pick choosing an underdog in a championship fight, you still won't get paid out. That's the nature of the beast. The right thing doesn't always happen, and you will lose money because of that. It's not a fair sport. But what makes it fun is the ability for comebacks, for upsets, and even bad decisions to a certain extent help bring the sport that excitement and unpredictability that we love so much. We love those crazy moments. Conor McGregor knocking out Jose Aldo in 10 seconds. Jorge Masvidal, Ben Askren flying knee. Massive upsets. It's what makes the sport fun, and it's what we want more of. But it's also what makes gambling so difficult. Final piece of advice, if you really want to make money on UFC betting, find these undercard early prelim guys. Their first UFC fight. One of the advantages of UFC is there's the least amount of data on these guys. While it makes betting hard, it also makes it very difficult for Vegas to make a line. You can do research on these guys, you can watch some of these guys making their debut, and you will know more about them than Vegas does. But sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes the big lights are a little too bright for the guy that you think is amazing, and you lose money. That's just how it's going to happen. The house always wins, just giving you some tips of the trade to try to make money if that's what you're trying to do. My advice, do this for fun. The sport's already awesome. KOs every weekend. Just watch for the fun and then gamble for some extra fun. I'm never going to try to control how much fun you guys are having. I don't have a lot of subscribers, but I hope all of them are having a great night, and I hope they enjoyed the rant. Well, that's it for the Casual King. Peace out, guys.